Welcome to Ross Perspective. In this video, I speak with musician and singer of the pop rock band, the 88's, KEITH SLETTEDAHL, known for the iconic song, At Least It Was Here, the theme song of Community. So, how did you get into music?
Well, my earliest memory of, when I was little, I was just always really moved by certain music. And so I always had like a very emotional relationship with it. And my parents' records, and I was always really into it. But I think when I was a teenager, I think I picked up a guitar for the first time. And I just remember playing along to like a Bob Dylan song, and it kind of sounded like the song. Like it was, and that was like the first little, this thought of like, oh, I could maybe do that. Like that sounds like something that's real, like, and I'm playing along almost. And so that's really it. I think as a teenager, I found out I could sing a little bit. I didn't know, and I was like really shy. And the idea of performing just seemed impossible. But somehow, me and a buddy from high school, Adam Marin, who we started the 88 together, we just started playing like right after high school. And that's pretty much it. I mean,
do you think you'd be able to like kind of pinpoint what it was that allowed you to perform? Because obviously you mentioned like you were really shy.
Well, it's something I still think about. Like I still don't really understand it because I'm not a natural performer. It's almost, I would say it's close to like a compulsion. It's something I have to follow through with, but I kick and scream the whole way. It's better now. And especially at my age now when I do that. So it's really amazing. And I'm super grateful for it now. But when I first started, I couldn't do it without drinking, like I'd have to have something to get up there. And then I got sober at a pretty young age. And I had to learn how to do it without that crutch, And I think the way you learn is you just get thrown into it. So yeah, I don't really know. It's a mystery to me still. And I have a daughter, almost 15-year-old, and she's a lot like me. She's got a lot of gifts and talents, but she just does not like doing it in front of people necessarily,
Obviously, you did the theme song for Community, and you've worked on like other things like the Lorax as well. What's the process behind like getting that job to work on those projects?
Yeah, so like the 88, we were fortunate because we're from LA and we kind of fell into the licensing world and, getting songs into TV and film and stuff. And we just I didn't even know that was a thing. We met a guy outside of his show. That's what he did. We gave him a demo. He really liked it. And so we had the Community thing happened specifically through, I think, the Russo brothers. And they had used one of our songs in a movie called You, Me, and Dupree. And then I think it was them. I could be wrong. I think it was through them. They reached out to us and asked if we wanted to try to write a theme song for the show Community. And that was kind of rare because we just made records, and then TV and film opportunities, they would just use songs that we had recorded, but we didn't do a lot of recording specifically for TV shows and films. We were just a normal band, so that was one of the first ones. But the reason it worked was they just wanted us to be us, which seems obvious, and yet you'd be surprised how often that's not the case. You get to like, why are you asking us if you don't want it to sound like us, But that one worked perfectly and easy. And yeah, the Lorax, gosh, I'm trying to think of his name. Huge composer, John Powell. He's done tons of stuff. Super nice guy. He had a house, beautiful house in LA with a studio, like a giant like sound studio to record like, I think like orchestras, and he wanted to experiment with writing and composing with a rock band. So like seeing what that would kind of bring out. And that was the Lorax experience. We went there and he just had all these ideas and we would just kind of play them. And that was fun. That was totally different, a very unique experience. I've never done anything else like that, really.
Kind of on that, I guess, but so like you mentioned that you were kind of just asked to be yourself when like writing the Community song. Did you kind of get like total creative freedom on that project, or were there like kind of a guideline of like what they wanted it to sound like, if that makes sense?
And nothing with what they wanted it to sound like, other than they wanted something that sounded like the 88. And by that time, I kind of knew what that meant to people. There's a specific thing on our second record. It's a certain beat and feeling, and that got like connected to us. And I would start hearing it in shows, like other bands and other supervisors. You know, it was like of that time, it kind of became a popular little style in TV. And so that's the only direction I remember having musically. And so, yeah, I specifically kind of leaned into that style. But lyrically, like there were themes that they talked about, like leaving or staying, stuff like that, I think. And the interesting thing about that one is that I did stream of consciousness lyrics on the spot, and they were just placeholders for the melody. And we sent them that and let them know, like, these are not the words, but are we even on the right track? Because we didn't want to get too far.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you like this at all? And they liked it. And not only that, they wanted to keep the lyrics. I couldn't believe it. That's the song. And that's why it's like, it's pretty popular for that reason, because the lyrics are so bizarre and people think it's about suicide. And I still almost daily get some message on YouTube asking about the lyrics. Like, so it was really there. I mean, that was kind of brilliant on their part, just to kind of, you know, I'm sure Dan Harmon had something to do with it. He's just such an amazingly creative, just original voice and dude, you know. And I think I don't know this for sure, but I'm sure he's like, yeah, it's cool. It's like, I don't know what he's saying. I don't know.
A couple of years ago, you got to kind of come back for the live table read over Zoom. What was that like, kind of just coming back to it? Because I guess it ended quite a while ago.
Yeah, that was really cool. Because first of all, I don't know any of those people. You know, I don't even know Dan Harmon. I'd never spoken to him. So it was cool for me just to be a part of it, you know. And really the coolest, in all honesty, was just getting to be a fly on the wall in this Zoom call, where to see like how close they all were.
And as if that couldn't get any more bonusy, doing the actual theme is the actual theme song writer and performer from the 88, Keith Sleddedahl. Hey, Keith.
Hey.
Thank you so much. I love that song so much, man, and I'm really grateful you did it, because
thank you so much.
88 was one of my favorite bands. So stay tuned for that.
They were genuine friends, and it was really cool to watch that, just as an observer. And you know, like I always say, like, I just feel really grateful to be a part of that show. It's such a unique, original show, and it's rare that you get to do stuff like that, you know. And even when we did it, it was just this pilot that I didn't think much of. I didn't, the odds of anything like that hitting, they're not great. And so to have it last how it has, and for it to be 100 times more popular now than it was when it was on. I mean,
we're losing Pierce, quick.
Troy starts intentionally inhaling vapor.
Someone get a balloon.
Give me some rope, tie me to tree, give me the hope to run out of steam. Somebody said it could be here, we could be roped up, tied up, dead in a year. I can't count the reasons I should stay. One by one, they all just fade away.
Diehard fans of that show. So anyway, yeah, the read was really fun to be a part of, and really, like I said, just cool to watch those people and the closeness, between them. It was cool.
Now the special anti-COVID lyrics for the second verse. Washing those hands, keeping apart, wearing our masks, don't inhale farts, don't touch objects that have been touched by any non-essential personnel in 14 days.
Yeah, so kind of just back to the creative side of music. So I've heard that this happens to maybe a lot of musicians, but I guess like all creatives in general, where if you're working on a song and it's becoming really challenging to kind of finish it, like to perfect it and really like get it to where you want it to be. Do you have any techniques to kind of take a step back from that? If that makes any sense at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you kind of have to be true to yourself and like know yourself, because there's people that really like show up to work and grind at songwriting, and that totally works for them. Then there's others that like I'm more, if I'm trying too hard, I think I gotta stop. I'm more of the don't try school. But I guess to answer the question, I don't think there's like one way to approach it, but I do think a lot of times you can sense that you're trying to polish a turd at some point, and I have to stop and step back. And a lot of times, like, revisiting it weeks later, days later, hours later, with fresh ears, that helps too, where it's more clear. Either, oh, this is better than I thought it was, or, okay, this isn't that great. And, but like with songs and being creative, like I've had to really become, not so attached, just not get so married to certain ideas and not have too much of an agenda of what I want or what I think this thing has to be, and kind of like let it happen more naturally. But I mean, there's something to be said for showing up every day and trying, putting in the work. So it's a paradox, it's a balance for me, like, and it's great when it's working and it's like torture when it's not, but I don't know, I think having conversations like this helps a lot, like talking to other creative people, and I just think like with all things in my life, like just the not feeling so alone with stuff goes a long way, because I can start feeling like it's just me, or I can really have a lot of negative self-talk and self-defeating attitudes and ideas, and so it helps to like communicate about it. A lot of times that's the difference between being totally I don't know what I'm saying, but sometimes that can help with the creative process, just feeling like it's okay not having putting all this pressure on these ideas, you know.
I know that you mentioned, like, you know, sometimes you'll come back to a project and it like doesn't sound as good as you thought it did. I'm guessing there have been times when you've maybe just had to scrap a song entirely. And what's that kind of like when that happens?
You know, again, you just like, if you do it long enough, you just learn to not get too attached, right? You just, or it'll kill you. You know, you just, you know, like as I've gotten older, I'm just more about the process than the result. I think when I was younger, everything was to achieve some outcome. I'll do this and then I'll get here. And that's really torture, because what happens is you might do that thing and then that gets you somewhere. But then when you get there, this thing just comes up with more marching orders, and now you got to do this thing. And then you'll get there. That, you know, it's just this goalpost that's constantly being, you never arrive, you know? So now I'm just more about like, just like the principles of, you know, like being kind to myself and having self-compassion and not beating myself up for, you know, or making it all about me, and like really seeing that like being creative is a gift and I don't really understand it. And I'm just really in touch with that now. I'm an older guy, you know, so like I just feel more grateful for it.
You were in an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
And so you were all playing like yourselves as the 88, but a kind of distorted version, I guess.
Yeah.
What's that like, I guess, like playing a different version of yourself?
Well, it was terrifying just to act, because I'd never done anything like that, and I'm just not an actor. So that was like really terrifying. And the only way that I got through it was I didn't know they were filming. I thought we were just rehearsing.
Thank you. We're gonna take a break. You're kidding me.
And then it was done, and I was just like super relieved, but also just even that was just terrifying. But everyone was really very, very nice. And so yeah, it was cool. I mean, the original script, they had a made-up band name, and we actually got them to use our name.
I'm getting married and my fiance wants to hire you guys as the band, but I can't sign off on it until I hear you play Good Feeling, because that's our song. And what kind of wedding band would you be if you couldn't play our song, right? Right?
Look, I'm kind of wasted right now, so I didn't understand any of that. But if there's the sheet music, we'll play your song.
You know what I mean? Because it was like this really like goofy, like Freddie in the song. I don't remember. I could be wrong about that, but it was some. And that would have been even harder for me, I think, just to like, yeah. But that's all I remember about that, is just that it was like really scary. But my wife was a really big fan of that show, and so I was just like, you got to do it, Keith. Like you have to find a way. dig deep. You're gonna regret it if you don't. You know.
This one goes out to that redhead girl and that tall guy.
They've announced they're going to make a Community movie. Do you have like kind of any involvement in that planned? Like maybe a kind of extended version of the theme or something?
I don't know. That's a good question. We reached out when we first heard. We reached out and just let them know that we're totally up for doing, you know, whatever they want. Like if they wanted an extended version or whatever, you know. But I don't even know if they're going to use the song. I have no idea what they're planning on doing. But yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, it has become. I mean, that's one thing I've learned. Like when you have songs in TV shows, people really, really love like just feel so connected to those shows, like, and therefore the music that's attached to those scenes, and it really, really means a lot to people. I've been consistently shocked by it. And you know, I'm a fan of shows and music, and I get it. Like, so like I said, it's just cool to get to be a part of something like that.